1 week season.
Hey, and welcome in OWS fam. So glad you are with us. We are back in the DFS lab presented by 1 week season as always. And again, the purpose of this show, build a DraftKings lineup, use that as a vehicle to talk through the upcoming slate. It is Tuesday, October 15th. So we're taking a very early look at week 7, but never too early to dive in. I'm your host, Cheeseman, and I am joined now by Hilow. Hilow, how was week 6 for you? I know you'd had a couple straight sweats. So what did week 6 look like?
Week 6 was wash, rinse, repeat. It was the same thing. I only played 3 rosters this past weekend because I liked my core was really, really tight. Two of those 3 rosters I was attacking DAC doubles. So that did not work out because they absolutely fell on their face. So that included my 555 roster, which was a DAC double. But my spy, my single entry, the normal spy, the 4,444 person tournament, I ran my Drake May with Hunter Henry. So I backed off of. So I was talking about, and you guys have to bear with me because I am on very little sleep today. I stayed up really late last night painting my house, trying to get the last steps done to list this bad boy. So anyway, quick sidebar there. So I talked about, and I wrote up, and I talked about it in both major podcasts, Searching for Ceiling and then on the slate, about there weren't a lot of quarterbacks last week that could achieve a put the slate out of reach type score. I mean, there were really only 3 quarterbacks and 4 tight ends, maybe, depending on how you viewed Sam Laporta in that spot. So quarterbacks, there was only 3 that could put up scores you had to have or you weren't winning. There were only 4 tight ends. So the fact that there were fewer number of those onesie positions that could put the slate out of reach means that there were less that had to fail in order for value pieces to start having some significance. And I felt like the field was really interested in Spencer Rattler at min price. And actually, I said that 2 of my 3 lineups were DAC stacks. That's false because I ran a Justin Fields stack on one of them. And then I ran the Drake May. So Justin Fields was priced at 5,800, Drake May at 50 or at 5K even. Yeah. 2 mobile quarterbacks, value pieces again. So if their offenses scored 3 touchdowns, Justin Fields entered that week as the only quarterback to account for every touchdown that the Steelers had scored, whether that was through the air or on the ground. Najee finally found one this past week, but Justin Fields scored another 2 on the ground. And then Drake May was this, what if? It was like, we haven't seen him. We know his collegiate profile. What if the offense is more has a clear path to functioning with a quarterback that is more talented than what they had previously in Jacoby. So it became this, if there's fewer quarterbacks up top, tight ends that have to fail, I can play this value stack between Drake May and Hunter Henry. If they succeed, if one succeeds, it's that much more likely that the other one comes along with them, and you cover both of those roster spots. The way that I wrote it up was Drake May plus Hunter Henry plus Demario Douglas, because the Texans were 3rd in pressure rate. We figured if New England is succeeding, it's probably through the short area stuff in the face of that much pressure behind a really bad offensive line. And that's actually what ended up hitting. And I didn't play it because I got scared off. And I wanted to, I didn't get scared off. The way that my roster came together, it made more sense for that roster to be only Drake May and Hunter Henry. So I was in 15th in the spy heading into the afternoon slate with Jalen Tolbert to go, and nobody blocking me to first place. So I needed to fade the heavy ownership of Carolina and Atlanta, and I needed Tolbert to probably go for 101 to get 25 fantasy points. Didn't come together again, which now is 3 straight weeks where I've had a roster in a major tournament in 16th or higher place heading into the afternoon slate. And I'm not a 150 maxer. I'm running 3 to 10 rosters a week. So Yeah, like there's two
What's that
things.
been like? What's that been like? Just
There's
psychologically,
yeah, there's two things with that. Like one, I am having shots on goal. Two, there's a very clear like psychological aspect that comes with getting so close and not hitting home. It's standard human psychology to feel down about that situation. But what I want to like emphasize is you're not going to win a tournament unless you're putting yourself in position to do so. So I have very clearly for 3 straight weeks been putting myself in position to win tournaments. The ball hasn't bounced my way, and that's variance. That's life. That's stuff that we can't control. All I can control is continuing to put in plus EV rosters and hopefully be ready to make the most money when the ball does bounce my way. So the process is locked in, man. The process at 1 week season is locked in. We have been all over it the first 6 weeks of the season. There were members that ran Drake May plus Demario Douglas plus Hunter Henry. We saw a second place in the SPY for 40K. We saw like all these big hits last week utilizing like our process and utilizing OWS methodologies and thought processes. So we're there, man. I feel like it's coming. We have to fight through that psychological tendency to feel down about like getting so close and not hitting home. And realizing that like we are just continue to put yourself in position to succeed, and eventually the ball is going to bounce your way.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Two things. First, I gotta brag on 1 week season and you, because the way you guys broke down the slate. JM talked about this too with the Spencer Rattler play, but you also talked about it specifically with the Drake May play of not just saying play Drake May because he's 5K and he could get you 4x your salary and that's good. Like taking it to that deeper level of saying because, and you just mentioned it, because there are only 3 quarterbacks who can put the slate out of reach. And if they fail, then that's why this could work well. On a week where there's 5 or 6 quarterbacks who have massive ceilings, maybe it just doesn't really make sense, those lower value plays.
Yeah.
But in this case, it absolutely did. So that's fantastic analysis. The follow-up to your thing is you put in, like you said, 3 to 10 lineups. You put in 3 this past weekend.
Yeah.
So how do you just have, I don't know, I guess the guts to say, I'm putting just these 3 in, knowing how variant the NFL can be, and just like banking on 3 lineups?
So I came up in DFS cash games first, and then that went into single entry and 3 max probably about 5 years ago, when I noticed that like the cash line in cash games was very, very similar to the cash line in single entry and 3 max. And this is right when we started getting better optimizers started coming out about 5 years ago. We started getting better projections. So to me, it was cash rosters is typically a 1v1 versus or a 2v2. That's going to decide whether or not you cash in these cash games, double ups, head to heads. Whereas I knew that the field was attacking single entry and 3 max incorrectly. So I actually found more success and greater sustainability in single entry and 3 max. So that was kind of my upbringing and kind of what my focus has been in DFS. My process in single entry and 3 max has kind of morphed, because coming from cash games, when I went to single entry and 3 max, it was more like I was using that as cash games. And so I was building rosters with too much floor and too little ceiling. And over the last 3 years or so, that has morphed into like attacking these for first place. So that I haven't banked, like I've gotten a second for 15K, I think was my biggest NFL score. I'm actually most profitable in MLB because it's mostly like numbers based, and that's easier to generate leverage on. But continuing to like just put myself in position to succeed, hunting for that bank. This year I've been switching to a higher emphasis on the milli makers, the big ones. And I noticed that we have a $100 milli maker this week. So that'll lead us into this slate, in the sense that because I've been super busy, because I am renovating a house and getting it ready for sale during football season, I haven't even looked at this slate yet. Like I stayed up till 2:30 ish last night painting baseboards. I got up and went to Home Depot and then realized like, oh shit, like we have a podcast this morning, dude. So I better get home. So I haven't looked at the slate at all for week 7. So we're going to do this live. You're going to see the process unfold in real time. So I don't want to take up any more time in the lead in here, because we're probably going to need it when we're building.
Yeah, man, let's go. I love it. I love that lead in, and just, this is just like first look at the slate, and we'll get to see you break it down. So yeah, man, week 7 is here. Obviously you got some games at the top with Carolina at Washington, Atlanta at Seattle. You got some good matchups: Houston, Green Bay, Detroit. I mean, a lot of great just football games. So where do you want to start in terms of looking at this week?
The first thing I do when I'm looking at a slate is kind of looking at the early Vegas lines. So this is before we've done any breakdowns, before anything else. And right now on this slate, I'm counting 11 teams with a Vegas implied team total of 23 points or more. Actually, we'll say 23.5 points or more. And that the Lions are the cutoff there. So that's a lot of teams that are expected to have some offensive success. That is very different than in recent weeks, where we have seen 4, 5, 6 teams with a Vegas implied team total over like 21 points. So what this is telling me is like we're probably going to need a higher score to ship GPPs this week compared to other weeks, because we're starting to see this chess match between offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. We're starting to see the offensive coordinators figure some stuff out. So that's kind of the going in like mindset. And we're going to build as if we're attacking the $100 Millie Maker. So 20-ish thousand entries. And what is it?
27,000 entries. I think it's 150 is the minimum cash there. So
yeah, so for sustainability, this is not the tournament you want to be playing. We don't like the 1.5x min cash tournaments. If you're looking for sustainability, go play some of these tournaments that have better structures. The $27 single entry is good. The slant at $9 multi-entry is good. Those are your 2x min cash tournaments. So for sustainability, attack those. But we're, again, hunting for that first place finish here. So the fact that we see that there's a lot of teams with higher Vegas applied team totals, the fact that this is a bigger slate. Actually, let me see. There are the Jags
games.
play.
There's 10 games. Yeah.
10 games again. So the Jags play in London again. So we got another 10 gamer. And this one's interesting too, because there's only 3 afternoon games. So it's a small slate with high expected scoring with only 3 afternoon games. So that's a lot of things to process real quickly about like how we're approaching the slate as well.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, from there, like, I want to, if there's only 3 afternoon games, I want to kind of have an idea of what games are in the afternoon slate to see, like what we are either fading or what pieces we need from the afternoon as far as late swap goes. And the first thing that jumps off is the highest team total of the slate is in the afternoon with the Commanders. 29.75 Vegas applied team total currently against the Panthers. So we're probably going to have to account for the Commanders in some form or fashion this week. Being in the late slate, it's highly unlikely that they fail against the Panthers. I want to pull up how the Panthers have performed over the last 2 weeks, because going into week 5, they had allowed a touchdown on 91% of opposing red zone drives. So I want to see how that has changed. And oh, wow, Jacksonville is last now at 76.19%. Carolina's 31st in the league, allowing a touchdown on 3/4 of opposing red zone drives. And that was because last week they allowed a touchdown on only half of the drives against the Falcons. So, yeah, that's probably a spot that we're going to have to account for in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. So do you think, obviously Jaden Daniels, he's the most expensive quarterback on the slate.
Yeah.
So are you thinking like you want to plug Daniels in or maybe account for it with another Commanders piece on a team that, last week Terry McLaurin did catch 2 touchdowns, but for the most part, it's been like hard to predict where the production is going to come from on the Commanders. I mean, Jeremy McNichols, you never know if as an RB2, he could, splash home a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah. So even in the most pass funnel matchup that the Commanders have had this season against the Ravens, Jaden Daniels only attempted 35 passes. So he's got pass attempts on the season of 24, 29, 23, 30, 25, and 35. So this is not heavy volume. They have been this consistent march the field, low volume, control the pace of the game team. And against the Panthers, we should expect them to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm actually not liking any of the pass catchers, and I'm actually kind of not really liking Jaden Daniels at the pay up spot. So that leaves us with like running back or bust.
Right. I know that's kind of what I was looking at, or that's how I was feeling as well when I initially looked at this.
Yeah, and Brian Robinson is dinged up. What do you have? He had a knee injury. Man, that is a tough spot.
Yeah.
The Commanders lead the league in rushing touchdowns. They went into week 6 with 11, and that was 3 more than any other team. We're going to just pencil in Brian Robinson here as if he comes back. Yep. And that might have to change as we continue building. So that'll be our account for the Commanders for now. Cool, and if that has to change, it'll change. Yeah, let's do that. The other afternoon game that appears to carry some upside, when we have the 49ers and the Chiefs playing, that is like strength on strength. So that has a wide range of outcomes, but the way that the Chiefs kind of have been controlling their game environments is like attacking everything short area, trying to march the field, hold time of possession. And the 49ers against this like Kansas City defense that is aiming to remove the deep ball. This is more of a spot where I expect like it to be set up a little bit better for failure. That said, like how much is Juju Smith-Schuster? 4K. We're going to pencil him in this roster. What happened before the Chiefs went on bye, and this is probably not going to get missed by the field because the field is much sharper nowadays. But before the bye, Juju Smith-Schuster against the Saints was operating in the vacated Rashee Rice role. So that is valuable. And what was also interesting is at the beginning of the game, it was mostly Travis Kelce in the Rashee Rice role. But like he legitimately like lost steam as the game went on. Like he was huffing and puffing, hands on the knees. The dude is like, he's still like one of the smartest skill position players in the league. But he's showing his age, man. So let's pencil Juju Smith-Schuster in there to account for another late portion of this slate.
Oh, I like that, dude. That's sharp right there.
And then the other late game that could have some intrigue is the Rams and the Raiders. The Rams are implied for 25 points right now. The Raiders just dealt Devontae Adams and have, have some pass catching depth issues, we'll say. But they're playing a Rams team who's bottom 5 in yards allowed per game, in rushing allowed. The Raiders aren't really able to sustain drives on the ground. And then we have Brock Bowers, who saw 12 targets 2 weeks ago against the Broncos and then 10 targets last weekend against Pitt. And why that's interesting to me is those are 2 very, very difficult pass catching matchups. Now Brock Bowers gets a Rams team who is allowing, I believe, still the most yards per game in the league because they went to bye. Let me see if that is accurate. No, the Saints and the Jaguars are now, and the Cards and the Panthers and the Colts are now allowing more yards per game than the Rams. Interesting. They dropped from dead last to 5th to last on their bye. It's like, yay.
But nonetheless, it's still like you're right about the matchup being an upgrade for Bowers compared to what he has faced the last 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah, so let's pencil Bowers in. And now we have 3 pieces already from the afternoon portion of the slate. And I think I want to add one more. And that is where the fuck are you? Oh my God, Kyron is so expensive.
Yeah, man.
Shoo-wee. All right, well,
81.
we'll hold off on that for now. So that'll be our afternoon exposure for now. It seems like kind of piecemealed and haphazard, but like we're just literally, this is our first look and we're kind of seeing what fits. And Brian Robinson might leave, but we'll handle that in a minute.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Actually, you know what? Let's remove Brian Robinson right now, and we're going to put in Chuba Hubbard in his place. On the other side of that game, and the reason being, the Commanders, although they are like controlling time of possession, and that's going to decrease the opportunities for the opposing offenses to rack up possession, rack up plays run from scrimmage. But that is kind of masking the shortcomings of their defense. And we saw it against the Ravens where they were able to exploit that. The Commanders they went into week 6, allowing the most yards allowed before contact per attempt. And we saw what Derrick Henry did against that. They are now actually second to last, with the Saints allowing more yards before contact per attempt. So we'll add in Chuba Hubbard here in a good matchup. If the Panthers succeed, it's highly likely to go through him 4 games in a row with 92 yards or more. And the big thing with that is he's averaging almost 5 targets per game over the last 5 games.
Yeah, dude.
So that removes what do we want? Like, what we have to understand, like what you need from each position to provide a GPP worthy score. At running back, it's very, very simple. You need 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, or 100 yards and a score with enough pass game volume to make up for one of those touchdowns. So on a full PPR site, that's 3 for 30. Will make up for one of those touchdowns. So the fact that Chuba Hubbard is seeing 6 targets, 5 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets, 4 targets, that's enough pass game volume to offset the need for one of those scores, where you need him to go 101 on the ground. Again, 92 yards or more in each of the last 4 games. And he has a solid red zone role. You need him to go 101 yards on the ground with 3 for 30-ish. And that'll get you around 25 fantasy points. I like Chuba Hubbard on the other side a lot more than I like Brian Robinson, actually. So we'll go with that for now.
Yeah. And just to add to that, it seems that he's going to be involved regardless of the game script. I mean, they trailed last Sunday. He was still involved.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 18 carries or more in 3 of the last 4 games, scored a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. And so the volume's there, the matchup is there. You need him to go 101 with a 3 for 30 line. I mean, even last week, he caught 5 balls for 11 yards. That's enough to offset the need for that multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. You could do a lot worse for 6,500. And again, this is the absolutely first time that we've cracked this open.
Yes. Okay. So we got some game environments from the afternoon taken care of, and we're not doing too bad on salary, 56K. Let's look at now. Let's go to
look at like defense to kind of see if we can. Not yet.
Let's talk about this is interesting, dude.
It is.
A lot of these are middling game totals, but solid Vegas implied team totals. Let's talk about the Vikings and the Lions game real quick. This is very similar to the Chiefs and the 49ers in the sense that these are 2 top teams. I mean, dude, look at the NFC North. Jesus Christ. The Packers, dude. The Packers are 4-2 and in last place in the division. Like, what the hell? Tell
me about it, dude. Yeah, they'd be tied for first or in first in like 6 of the other 8 divisions in the NFL right now.
Yeah, you have an undefeated Vikings team, 6-0. You have a 5-1 Lions team. You have a 4-2 Bears team, and you have a 4-2 Packers team. So this is probably the marquee game of the week from an NFL fan standpoint. A 6-0 Vikings team against a 5-1 Lions team who just lost Aiden Hutchinson to a broken leg in disgusting fashion. So this is another like strength on strength matchup, though. We just saw the Lions absolutely dismantle the Cowboys, but we know that the Vikings I would say Brian Flores is the top defensive coordinator in the league right now. Whether or not he gets another shot at head coaching, I don't know. But right now, this dude is like legitimately outmaneuvering the field. So that against this Lions like smash mouth offense, and then the Vikings, like we know that they have the firepower on offense as well. So this is probably an interesting spot. And I want to attack this spot as if it turns into a massive shootout. So to do that, I think we need to consider Sam Darnold.
All right, I'm going to pop him in there.
And if we're playing Sam Darnold, really the only way that he is hitting ceiling is if Justin Jefferson... actually, hold on. Is TJ Hawkinson back this week? Because that could be very interesting.
It says that he's out still.
Yeah, but that was for That was for before their bye.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see.
He's been activated. He was activated in week leading up to the preparation for week 6. So he has a 21-day practice window. So he is entering week 3. I would expect he is active, which is absurd, to be honest. But we have an inside-out funnel defense. I want to just run it with Justin Jefferson for now, and we'll see what happens there. You know what? Yeah, dude, Hawkinson is 5,200, man. The pricing is so tight.
It is. Yeah, it's a tight week, man. There's like 7 or 8 running backs above 7K who are viable, and it is and it almost just kind of puts it in a place where the scores are going to be lower to win tournaments, just because you just can't fit the same ceiling that you could unless you just catch lightning. But yeah, back to your point, it's tight. It is with Hawkinson too at 5,200.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna remove Bowers. We're gonna put Jacoby Myers in, and then we're gonna put Hawkinson in. So we're gonna try and capture like all the touchdowns from the Vikings. So that should, it's about the same salary, but I like that a little bit better. Myers hopefully will be coming back from his ankle injury. He missed 1 game. Let's do that. And then, God, we're going to need some value. Let's plug in defense and see what we got left.
Okay. Sounds good.
Scroll all the way down as is the process.
Yes.
Let's plug in the Giants. Yeah, the Giants are 7th in the league in pressure rate at 36.2%. For comparison, they're right around the Chiefs at 36.6%. And they looked really good last week at generating pressure, and they did that without Kayvon Thibodeau. Thibodeau hit the IR this past week, so he's going to be out. But I mean, they have Brian Burns who stepped up. They have all this talent on the defensive line and linebacker unit now that they should continue generating pressure. And hold on, let me see. The Eagles are allowing pressure at a 37.9% rate. So that's 8th in the league. Yeah, so this is probably one of the top sleeper matchups as far as defense goes, and they're cheap as hell. So let's see where that leaves us. Let's see what we can do here.
There's certainly some flexibility there if we can find not a total punt flex, or obviously we can kind of go, 2 players around 57. But yeah, as far as value, I haven't really looked. How much is? Let me think. Hold on. The Vikings are playing a ton of zones still. Let me refresh that bad boy. The Vikings are playing a ton of zone. What we're looking for the Lions is we're looking for any indicator that can steer some of the production. If we're saying that they're going to succeed, they're a team where there's so many pieces right now that it's hard to say where that production is flowing. Yeah. But the Vikings are playing. It's less zone than I thought. They're playing zone at 74% frequency, but they're playing too high at 74.4%. That's the most in the league. God, against too high, it's Amon-Ra, dude. How much do we have? We can't do it, right? Yeah, we can't do Amon-Ra. That'd leave us 30. That'd leave us 3,400 if we plugged him in.
So expensive.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to pull. This is taking a long time, but I want to pull the splits for this year against too high for Jameson Williams. Dude, he's got a solid 25.5% target rate against too high this year. 56.4% air yards share. 18.1 ADOT. Dude, let's put in JMO and
this is 57.
Yeah, that's doable, I think. Ty Johnson, Bills, Madison. God, there's nothing down here, dude. All right, let's take out JMO.
Okay.
We just can't make it work. We'll go down. Let's look at running back first, see what we have for flex.
Okay, so
Tony Pollard's in a really good spot too. Dude, let's plug in Brian Robinson and do both running backs from that game.
Okay. Yeah. So that leaves us 53.
53 for a flex-a-doodle. Oh, God, we can run fucking double tight end. We can run double tight end with Sam Laporta. Fuck it. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. There it is, dude.
Well, yeah. That's welcome to our on the spot fucking fantasy analysis.
No, I mean heavy bet on the Detroit Minnesota game, but I think it also just illustrates that this is a tight week salary wise. And if you're going to fit in, a high end piece or two, then you're obviously going to have to dig for some value. But no, man, I mean it's good stuff. I mean, any final thoughts just as we wrap this, just on this slate, given that, like you said, this is your first look at it.
Yeah. Going back to kind of how we led in here, pricing is tight, but I would expect more 30 burgers put up this week. So as such, there's going to be probably 225 to 230 points needed to ship this week. Whereas last week it was a down scoring week. We've seen down scoring around the league. So I would build as if the goal here is a 4.5, 5-point salary multiplier for each player. Absolutely,
man. Well, Hilow, great stuff as always. Yeah, guys, good luck. Week 7, it's going to be a week, a creative week. Got to get creative in some ways, but like Hilow just said, just some game environments, some matchups where you just feel like there's going to be some explosiveness this weekend. So good luck, and we'll talk to you guys this weekend as we continue on. Hilow, again, great stuff, and thanks for joining us.
See you guys.